Hi guys, good morning. So guys, today we are starting our super firewall combo. So this combo includes three firewalls: Fortinet, Palo Alto, and Checkpoint. So today in the morning, at the same time, like at 9 a.m., we are starting with Fortinet. And if you already enrolled for Palo Alto, 11 a.m. we have already scheduled Palo Alto also, and Checkpoint we are starting from next. So Rohan sir is with me to deliver this particular program for Fortinet. So Rohan sir, over to you now.
Hey, thank you, Gaurav.
Yeah.
So, hello everyone, and good morning. So, let me share my screen. Is my screen visible? Just give me a nod on to that.
Not yet.
Not at
Uh, the screen is not still visible to you guys because I can see that the screen sharing window is showing my screen.
No, Rogan, the screen is still
I'm
loading.
waiting to share something. So can you just stop the screen sharing and then again please share? Yeah, now it's visible.
That's visible. Okay, okay. Okay, I think my system has taken an update, or the Zoom is not responding. That is what it says to me. Okay, so I believe my audio and the screen is good, right? I'm just taking a final
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, all good.
Okay, fine. So before we start, let me start with my intro first. So my name is Rohan, and I carry more than 12 plus years of experience working in the security domain field. I have worked on multiple NGFW firewalls as well as the SWG security appliances, and I'm still someone who is working and like trying to improve my skills as far as the security goes in like terms of the hardware as well as the software codings. Now, that being said, during my journey from the past 12 years with whatever companies I have been associated with, mostly the product-based companies, I have gotten chance to work with n number of clients across the globe, ranging from small to the enterprise level businesses. And like what I have got an inside view that what the customer actually looks for, what are the common issues, what they come across, what is the expectations, and like how you can meet that. There will be several scenarios, situations where you will find yourself lying with no answers whatsoever. We will also not have any clue what the customer is talking about. That may also happen. Okay, who knows, right? And like that's the beauty of this job. But yes, I have learned how to tackle such scenarios and things and all. So in short, uh, what I have got good into while working in this domain from years to years is dealing with the situations and the issues. by not just giving a temp fix, but to give with the permanent fix and follow end-to-end this solution. Now, the same mindset I am trying, or I will try to bring up in our Fortigate course. So this course, which is designed in order to focus specifically on the Fortigate firewall. Now here, like I said, there will be the situations where you will not be able, or you will not be in the position to give the answer upfront, right? You might need sometimes some like R&D to be done on your part, but you have to take the confidence of the customer at the same time. Now, these things can be only done if you know the basics, not the higher level, but the basics, the core concept. Okay. And that is what is going to play the vital role in building the fundamentals about any security products that you will be learning today, tomorrow, or in the future as well. Now, this course is designed in the same pattern with reference to the certifications, what actually the Fortigate or the Fortinet supports. These will come in that same phase. I will show you that how this course is gonna help you to crack one of the examinations of the 4 certificates, the 3 what you're seeing on the screen right now, and there's one more, this. Okay, so this is also something which you will be able to crack onto. So this course is something which will help you to crack any of these 4 certifications if you are looking for. Now, there has been a change of modules in how you will earn the certificates with reference to the Fortinets, where you have to crack more than one examination. So one is a core examination and the other one is an optional one, which you can choose from the a very long list of different uh, features, technologies and all. Now, here what we are going to learn is the core examination. So whatever we will be delivering here will help you to crack the core examination. The optional is something which you can self-learn and like crack any of that. Now, that being said, let me walk you through the course content. Okay. So seen here, so this part was actually previously, when I say previously, that means 3 years back, this was referred as NSE4, okay, which is there to deliver you the knowledge with reference to the basics of the firewall, manageability of the firewall, configuring the firewall, and of course, it also gives you an insight how you can troubleshoot the firewall in a basic manner. When I say basic, that means at least you should be able to navigate through the firewall to see what logs, what does it mean, and you have a fair amount of an idea that, okay, hey, this might be the cause of the problem. Okay, not in depth. That is what the NSE4 tells you about. So if you are posing any of these certificates, it simply says that uh, you are a candidate who holds a fair amount of knowledge about the device product Fortigate firewall, where you can effectively manage, configure, and do the basic troubleshooting, right? So that is what it is all about, just to know your device. Okay, and this is why you will, if you will see the content of the courses, it is talking about the initial configurations, right? The concept about the security fabric, the clustering concept, right? And how you will be able to do the troubleshooting with reference to connectivity problems and all. Okay, so these are the basics as stuffs. The talking about the firewall policies with reference to the authentications as the admin accounts, or with reference to the normal user accounts as in terms of a local user or maybe an LDAP radius or the single sign-on users. So how you can set up all those things. Now, it is also giving you a view with reference to the routing where let me be, this is something which is summarized in a two-liners, but let me tell you what part we are going to touch in the routing section in the FortiGate firewall is a static route, policy-based route, BGP, and OSPF. So these 4 things will be touched in terms of the configuration, deployment, and your troubleshooting. Okay. Now, as far as the VPN is considered, it wants us to learn about 2 main VPNs, that is SSL VPN and IPsec VPN. When I say IPsec VPN, I am referring to the site to site as well as the dial-up, both. Okay, so this is what the majority of the firewall in like a larger context, if you will see it, like covers the major configurations and the setup part onto it. Now, if I continue with reference to your the next one, that is the higher level of examinations. So if you will see the course content of that site, right? So now here also, if you will see, it is talking about the system configurations only, the same things, right? The security fabrics concept, some informations with reference to the hardware. Now focus here, because this is where you will also see the difference in the contents. Most of the things are same as what I have told you just in a previous slide. But now what you will see is there is some more granularity that has been added inside the course. That means now here the content is not only asking you to have a basic knowledge of the device, but also it wants you to have some sort of an idea about how is the hardware design of the firewall. Okay, in simple words, that life of packet, right? So it's like when the firewall receives a packet, what it is doing, which component is doing what. So the hardware level knowledge, somewhat, not in a vast manner, but somewhat you should be aware about your firewall. It's just like think in this way. Like for example, we all drive bikes or cars, something, right? Now, when you go, let's say I'm like I have just myself to go to the office. I went, I put up my key to take a self start of my bike, and the bike is not starting. So if I have a basic idea about how my bike works, about its hardware, so at least I can do those basics checks, right? I can check my spark plug, I can check my fuel pipe, try to blow onto it, or maybe battery outputs, right? Because I know that these are the critical functions that is there, which is there to do a certain job, and if that is not supposed to do that, the bike will refuse to start, right? So that amount of knowledge we have. But what if you do not know? Then you are stuck with a dead bike, right? Then you have to call someone who knows about that, and the guy will come and he might just rub a spark plug and set it and say, "Hey, sir, your job is done. Give me the amount what I'm entitled to," right? So this is what it is. It is not expecting you to have a level one engineer knowledge, but a more to that. So know more about your device. That's why you will see here it is talking about the hardwares, right? It is, see here, it is also talking about the cluster, but it is saying that different operations modes of the cluster. It is not just sufficient to know about what is cluster, but you should also know about what are the ways the clusters can be deployed, how the cluster works behind the scene. Let me be honest here with reference to the Fortigate firewall, or this is true for any of the devices who is capable to form a cluster. Hardly you need three minimum commands to build a cluster of whatsoever kind you want to. Three commands. So do I need to learn those three commands and I can say that, okay, hey, now I know how to build up the HA cluster, right? Now that is not true. Setting up a cluster is not the real job. What is going behind the scene, right? So if there is a problem, let's say for example the customer says that, okay, hey, my certain LAN is not able to reach to the ISP. Okay, and you went to the call and you saw that, okay, the customer setup is like LAN is sending traffic to the switch is sending traffic to the firewall is sending traffic to the ISP. So since there is a single firewall and all, you will feel much more confident. Okay, hey man, come on the call. Let's like troubleshoot the problem, right? But on the same call, if you see that, okay, hey, the customer is having like switch is sending the traffic to the cluster of the firewall. Now there you will not have that sort of an confidence which you were having while you saw a single firewall, right? Why is that? Why do our heart starts pounding when we see a cluster in the network? Okay, boss, something would be happening different, right? So some sort of a doubt comes into our mind. The reason behind that is because we are not clear of the concept, the backend functioning of the cluster. We do not know why I needed the cluster in the first place. See, if a customer is using a cluster, there must be a purpose behind it. It's not a fancy or cool thing to have on the network. Nothing happens in a cool way. Okay. There must be a reason behind it, right? If you know the reasoning behind that cluster, why that is there, you know the functioning of that setup cluster, and hence that will give you the boost. Okay, hey man, come and let's fix the problem. You know exactly what you have to look for, you know exactly where you have to look for. Okay, so this is what this module, the module which is expecting you to have the certification with reference to the solution is specialist, right? So that's a big term. So what it is telling, if I carry this certification, then it tells that this guy knows the firewall from inside out. That is what it says, right? And that's where these contents are designed for. Okay, so now if you go through, it is talking about the manageability and all, that's fine. Security profiles, now see the UTM features is into the play here. All the UTM features ranging, let me tell you what are UTM features we are going to talk about in depth. That is web filter, DNS filter, application control, file filter, video filter, antivirus, and the IPS. So all these things will be talked about in conjunction with the certificates functioning, as well as the SSL inspection design and modes. So all these things will come in play when we will talk about the security profiles, because without the knowledge of security and the SSL inspection, you cannot even dare to touch the UTMs, because UTMs are heavily dependent upon that. So like I said, if I will simply say that, okay, hey, you have to block the google.com. So just do one thing, open the web filter, go into the static URL filter option, click there, add the entry google.com, set the action as block, save it, you are done. And apply that web filter onto the policy. So it will start blocking the google.com. Now, anyone with the basic understanding of English can do this job, right? You do not need to be a very big shot to do this. Anyone can do that. But if, let's say, I have done the right configuration as per the best of my knowledge, but still it is not giving me the desired result. I did it, what you said, or what I am expected to do, I did it. But still, sometimes the google.com is not getting blocked by the Fortigate firewall. So how you can fix that problem? By looking into the logs? Absolutely not, because the logs will simply say the traffic came, it did not match with the UTM web filter, and hence the traffic is allowed. So what is there to look at? It simply is telling you that I'm not able to process that traffic with reference to the web filter what you have configured, right? So that is what it is telling you. So just give me a moment, man. Just give me a moment. Sorry for that. Okay, sorry for that interruption. So, okay, so like I was saying that with reference to web filter, right? So if something is not working, although we have done best of the configurations, now how we will be troubleshooting that, right? So you can only troubleshoot that problem if you know exactly how the web filter works. So when a packet was coming, how did the firewall know that it's a google.com? What it is trying to look inside a packet, right? There are several layers, right? Layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 7, correct? So what it is looking inside? What is that specific field what the web filter is try to look into and decide, hey, this is google.com. If you know that functioning of these features, then only you can troubleshoot the problems. Else, if you are only depending upon, okay, hey, the log will tell me what is going wrong. Now that's a vague statement. Okay, so this is what it like requires us to deep dive into all such concepts. Okay, now here also you will see that it is also talking about the routing. Like I mentioned, OSPF and BGPs will be covered in like along with the PBF and the static part. And as far as the VPN goes, same IPsec. And now here you see an AD VPN, right? AD VPN is also similar, not similar, but it is something which is also known as hub and spoke, or maybe Cisco guys will call it as an DM VPN, right? So there are several names to this, but yes, hub and spoke scenarios is also going to be covered inside the VPN. Now, along with this, we are also going to talk about the SD-WAN, which is, I think it is not mentioned in here, but keep in mind, Fortigate Firewall also supports and gives you the feature with reference to an SD-WAN functionalities. So we are also going to try to understand why do we need an SD-WAN, right? The problem, and then the solution as an SD-WAN. And then we will try to understand how we can deploy the SD-WAN, what all it can do and all. So SD-WAN is also something which will be covered in this. Okay. So is there any doubt with reference to the course content so far, guys? Any doubt? Mr. Ravi or Shiv? No doubts?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yep.
Yes. So could you elaborate of what topics covered in SD-WAN?
What topics will be?
Covered in SD-WAN, or it is
SD-WAN
only
is
basic things?
SD-WAN is itself a topic, brother. There's nothing inside an SD-WAN. Now I got your gist in here. Your question is with reference to an SD-WAN as a device. Okay. Now
Yes,
when
a
you
device clustering, then
SD-WAN
their
as a device, right?
controllers.
So there are a lot of things inside an SD-WAN, but keep in mind all those things are all it's like that. That is something which is if okay, let me put it in this purview. Let's say for an example, if you have learned a router in a full-fledged manner completely, do you need to learn a switch, layer 2 switch? Most likely no, right? Why? In terms of the packets and layer 2 functionalities, you do not need to. Why? Because router can also act as a layer 2, right? We can make it from NAT mode to the transparent mode. So if we have learned the router as a transparent mode, I don't need to learn the switch in a separate manner. Meaning what I'm trying to say here is, if you open an SD-WAN as a device, take any SD-WAN device, try to see what functionalities it is like going to give you. Routing, VPNs, UTM features, right? Clusterings, okay? They will be able to form the TLS and like DTLS tunnels, DLP in an advanced form. That is what they are going to give. So do you need an SD-WAN for all these? Not at all. Not at all, right? Because these things can be achieved from the firewall also. So SD-WAN essence is not there to give you the policies, NATing, clustering, routings, VPNs, and whatnot, right? So these things are not the SD-WAN essence. SD-WAN is there to give you a something unique solution, which the switch, router, load balancer, and the firewall combined together was not able to give to the businesses. No one heard about the SD-WAN as a product or a solution 5 or 6 years back. No one heard. It's just a
Actually, we are
buzzword in the firewall.
Rohan. Actually, we are from the ISP company, and our
Uh-huh.
client has been using the connection the multiple location. So
Uh-huh.
SD-WAN has been using through the connectivity from between them, and they are using the store the data or provide the solution from the cloud base. So that's why we are asking what you are covering in the SD-WAN.
So that is what I'm trying to say in here, that everything with reference to an SD-WAN as a solution will be covered here with reference to the FortiGate firewall. Like I said, FortiGate firewall is capable to give you the SD-WAN functionality. You need to understand why you have an SD-WAN in your network, and then everything will start making sense. Okay, how you have to manage it.
Okay.
Got my point?
Yes.
So to answer, if you want a crisp and short answer, the answer is yes, we are gonna cover the SD-WAN in a full-fledged solution manner.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Any other? Okay, I see one message here. There are any prerequisites of fundamental concepts you would suggest revising before enrolling? Okay, yeah, I was coming to that, Dipesh. Just give me a moment. So before I proceed further, is there any doubt with reference to the content of the course? What is going to be covered with reference to the FortiGate firewall? Clear?
Rogan. So, what are the certificates we can go for after completing this course, Fortinet
Like I
course?
said, these three, okay, what you're seeing on the screen right now, network secretaries, it's like these are the different domains, but the certification label is the same, that is Fortinet Certified Professional. So that
Okay.
is one certificate, and the other one is the specialist certificate. This one. Okay, solution specialist. That is in the domain of network security.
Okay. Thank
you. Okay, so these two will be covered. Now see, why we have clubbed two certificates modules inside a single course. And I think most of you would have noticed that the content of both the modules are almost same. Only one or two extra topics are in the solution specialist module. Rest all is almost same, right? So so the focus of this course, like I have said in the start as well, is to build the basic fundamentals, right? So we will start from the basics, and like we will complete each and every features what the FortiGate firewall supports from basic to the top. Okay, so that's how. So in simple words, end-to-end firewall conversation. So since we are going to talk about the entire FortiGate firewall, so automatically we are like going to cover the entire modules of these two certificates, professional and the specialist. Okay, so that's why this course will give you an zest, and it will like help you to crack these two certification examinations. Now, coming to the next point, that who this course is designed for whom, right? Now, this course is designed for someone who has a basic knowledge of network. When I say basic knowledge of networks, for example, what I mean is, let's say if I'm using a word called MAC address, I'm saying IP address subnet /24. I'm saying, okay, hey, it's a layer 3 information, right? Layer 4, layer 3, TCP, UDP. So are these terms making sense to you? When I say ARP, there's an ARP query raised. When I'm saying ARP, did that make sense to you? If yes, this course is for you. That's all I need. Because like I said, everything will be discussed from basics, right? So even if you're even if you're someone who has not got a hands-on on the network, but you know about the common terms that is used inside a network, this course is for you. Not a problem. Okay, because so it's like, let's say I'm saying 192.168.1.0/24, right? So when I say this, so if you understand that, okay, hey, when 192.168.1.0/24 has been mentioned, that means 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.1.254 are the host IPs. 1.0 was the NID, network ID, and .255 is the BID, broadcast ID. If you know this, that's fine. This course is for you. That's all I need. So I believe, Dipesh, you got your answer, what you asked for. Okay, so there's one more query here. How long and cover both versions? Yes, okay, fine. So Casey is asking how long, that is how many months, and are we going to cover both professional and specialist modules? So like I said, yes, we are going to cover both the certifications modules, Okay, because we have to learn the firewall from start to the end. So that is something which we will be covering. The duration of this course, since it's a weekend batch, with that is supposed to happen only on Saturdays and Sundays. So in an average, on an average, this will take around 50 to 55 hours for me to complete. Okay, the entire firewall as a whole. Okay, so if you will count it in the weeks, most likely it is gonna, it's like I would need 8 weeks at least, because each class will have to be duration for 4 hours. Okay, so from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. IST, that is what the class duration is gonna be. But this is not something which is a hard coded fix that, okay, hey, within the 8 weeks that is going to be covered, or the class will always be of 4 hours, right? See, the pace of the batch and the class is dependent upon the students. How you are receiving my information, okay, what are your queries, concerns? So that will decide the pace of the batch. There is no hurry, neither from my side, neither from NW Kings. It's up to you people. The batch will decide what is the pace. Okay, you want me to take up the pace, I will pick up the pace. You want me to go too slow, I will go too slow. It's up to you. Okay, so, but yes, on an average, if you will ask me, the FortiGate firewall modules covering both those examinations, so I would need minimum on an average 55 hours for that. Okay, clear? Okay, now,
Are we
yes,
covering radius and LDAP configurations?
radius and LDAP configurations with reference to the FortiGate firewall, yes, we are going to cover that. We are also gonna cover the single sign-on setup with reference to the FortiGate firewall. Yes, we are gonna cover that. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Rohan.
Okay.
Myself, Patil. I missed the initial 5 minutes. This is NSE4 and 7 are two different certificate, or it's a combined one?
It's a different certificates. And now there is no NSE4 and 7 as an phase of the certificates. Of course, they are still as part of the core examination, but not as the parent certification name. So like I mentioned that now we are going to talk about certified professionals and solution as specialist. So these are the terms what you will hear now. And these certifications require you to crack two examinations. One is core and the other one is optional. So here what we are going to cover, like you mentioned in the terms of NSE4 and 7. So yes, that is part of the core examination. So if we go through these modules, then you will be able to crack core examination of these two certificates. Okay.
Okay. So will there be any dump or any questions are available from this
I would,
after finishing this course?
Guys,
what
this is
you,
something we cannot discuss here. We'll discuss later on.
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
ठीक है, no problem.
okay, fine. So now, since we have talked and we are clear about the content of the course, now let me show you one more thing with reference to here is the lab part. Now keep in mind, every topic that we are going to pick up, the format of the topic completion would be that first we are going to talk about the concepts in theory. Okay, I will tell you each and every minute to the extended details about whatever topic we are going to pick. And then whatever we have discussed or established, the concept in the theory, we will prove it in the lab. Okay. Now, this is one of a basic lab that I am gonna mostly use. Now you see my labs also, before I show you the list of the labs, what I have. So this is the basic lab. Okay. So I'm gonna use this lab for most of my topics. Now see my lab structure. It is a very plain, simple lab, right? The PC connecting to a router, router connecting to the firewall, firewall pointing to the ISP. It's simple. The reason behind that is because, like I said, my focus of this course is to build a strong fundamental concept. I'm not here to give you some confusing aspect with reference to a complex diagram. See, the simple method of network is, if you know how a ping works from PCA to PCB with a router in between, then you do not need to worry about from a ping from a LAN to something in a server crossing through multiple data centers. You do not need to worry about that because the nature of the ICMP remains same, right? If I know how my laptop, which I'm using at home, is able to access google.com, what is going behind the scene? What are the EOP of my device? If I know that, do you think I need to be worried about how my corporate devices are able to access the google.com through my data center, no matter how complex that is designed? Do I need to learn that? No, because TCP or SSL handshake remains same. The EOP never changes. Every protocol has an RFC standards. So the focus is on how communication works, what is going behind the scene, right? So that's why the diagram is very simple. But that being said, that's my way to teach you, or like to let you know about the concepts. But if in case you want, I can build as complex a structure you want. You just have to tell me that. Let me just stop all this. Come on, stop. I will show you the list of the other labs, what we are having here. So like I said, I was having a basic lab. Now here you have a BGP lab, which you can also use in order to test the BGP configurations and several scenarios. This is the lab what I use. Okay, going with that, you also will see that I'm having a HA lab clustering, a simple cluster lab, because like I said, my motive is to tell you what is going behind the scene of a cluster. So we are going to test all the cluster functioning on this setup. Okay. Similar to that, there is also an OSPF lab to test the OSPF related scenarios. That is what we are going to use. And likewise, so there are multiple labs if it's like for different topic and like purpose. Now, most of the labs what we are seeing in here is for the students who wanted to test their scenarios in a different structure. So like I said, you just have to show me your set up what you want and I will create that lab for you. Okay, whatever you want me to. So I can do this. Okay, so if you want to practice on something, some different setup or like a topology to establish the concept in maybe in your client setup or something, just let me know. I will do it for you. Okay, so we have a full lab access. So now coming back to the course, like I was saying that how we are going to proceed with each and every topic. So the first stage is that whatever topic we will be picking up, we will be covering the concept of that. Okay, and then the second step is to prove that theory in the lab. See, the simple fundamental or a rule in my batch is what we do not see in the log, we are not supposed to believe it. Simple. If I'm saying you, okay, hey, this is how this works, now that has to be supported by the logs. Why you will believe me? And you should believe no one, because someone has written in the book that, okay, hey, this is how the three-way handshake works. You should not believe it. Simple. Because see, the motive behind this is because when we are on the call of the customer or trying to solve a problem, why the customer will have a trust on me? Why? It's not because I am an employee of a certain company. So if I'm saying something on the call, you are bound to believe it. Why? He will not. But if I show him the logs, if whatever statements, observations, these solutions, whatever I am giving him, whatever the next plan, what I am giving him is based upon the observation, what I made with reference to the logs, what I see on your device. Now, anyone needs to believe that. It's not an argument on that part, right? So this is why, and that is where I derive my fundamental of this course as well, that whatever we will talk, whatever we will try to establish as a concept, that needs to be proved in the lab. If we do not prove it, there is no such concept in the world. Simple. Okay, show me that in the lab. The logs should prove that, we will believe it. And this will also help us to have a very strong fundamentals in our mind that, okay, hey, yes, this is how it works. Now, let the world says any other way, I'm not gonna believe it unless someone proves me the other way around in the lab through the logs. Then I will change my understanding. But if you're not able to do that, what I know, that is the final mark. Okay, so that's how we are going to proceed. Okay, and of course, the third, once I have given you the concept in theories and proven that in the lab, okay, the third is you are open to challenge anything that you want to in terms of a good faith, goodwill, not in a crowded or in a bad, demeaning way, but in like something like we are here to learn, right? So whatever you want to challenge, challenge it. Okay, open to challenge. You think, no, man, this is not how it works. Fine, let's test it. Okay. So, like I said, everything will be decided by the logs, not by me, not by you. Okay. So it's an open discussion. So this is why you will also notice that I take 55 hours, because if I have to complete the entire course, I can do it in 30. But why I need 55 hours is because everything needs to be proven. Okay. Now, with reference to the lab part now, since we are done with that, now coming to the okay, before I do that, let me again ask this: is there any doubt with reference to the content and the lab, how we are going to proceed with the course? Because I want everyone to be on the same page. No doubts? Clear?
Clear.
Okay, fine. Now, see, the next one which I always get a query for is, are we gonna cover 40 analyzer, 40 manager, 40 SIEM, 40 auth and whatnot? So let me be honest here. This course is strictly focusing on Fortigate firewall, the next gen firewall. We are not going to learn FAZ, FMG as a separate device. Yes, we are gonna see how we can integrate the FortiGate firewall with Forti Analyzer, Forti Manager, or any other cloud platform for that matter, whether it's the same vendor product or a different vendor devices. Okay, how we will integrate our firewall with that. That is something we are gonna cover. But as a product, this course is only gonna focus on the FortiGate firewall. Okay, clear? So there should not be a second thought onto that. Now, so that's all about the intro with reference to the course contents and all. So I think we have some time left. So I would take this as a liberty to start or to discuss the basics of a firewall. Let's start with that. If you have no queries, or if you have any queries related to the course modules or something, let me know before we start with the first topic for the day. So are we good?
Can we have reference module or training material, because we haven't received anything for references? Any idea? I mean,
Brother, like Gaurav also mentioned, that there are something which we are not comfortable to talk about on the live session. So I would request you to wait till we officially
sure,
start the
sure.
first day of the class. Okay.
Okay,
So there I will be answering all these queries about the certifications and the materials of the trainings and all. Okay.
sure.
Okay. So I think there is no other questions with reference to the course. Fine. So let's start now. So I will just try to discuss a small topic so that you can get the zest of my way of teaching. Okay, so see, okay, Let me do this. So let's talk about the basic structure of the Fortigate firewall, right? So let's talk about that. Just give me a moment. I'm just building a basic block structure. Okay, so now coming to, oh, sorry, this is not ISP, my bad. This is FortiGuard. This is your processes, maybe AP, IPS, or WF, or maybe anything like auth, something. Okay. This is your Forti OS, and this is your CPU or SPU for that matter. Okay, now seen here, this box here is the FortiGate firewall. I will be using the FGT as an abbreviation form in order to represent FortiGate. Okay, so wherever I write FGT, that means it's a FortiGate firewall. So this box, what you're seeing is FortiGate firewall, which has certain block structures or a component inside it. Now, before we talk about that, let me give you a gist about the FortiGuard. Now, FortiGuard is a cloud-based data center which is deployed across the globe. Okay, so depending upon your firewall location, the firewall will automatically try to establish with the nearest data center, that is the FortiGuard server. Okay, now that is decided based upon the location proximity. So like, let's say for example, if I am located in Bangalore and I have the firewall located in Bangalore, so maybe it will try to establish with the data center which is in Mumbai. Okay, or maybe with the Chennai. I may have multiple DCs within the same region. Okay, so if like that's the case, so like I said, with reference to the location proximity, it will decide that, okay, hey, what is the nearest data center to me? Now, these calls are done by the FortiGate firewall automatically. You do not have to worry about this. As soon as you power it on, the firewall will try to establish the connection with the FortiGuard. Keep in mind, the FortiGuard is the server which is responsible to provide real-time database and informations to the firewall. When I say database, I mean about the attack database, virus database, categorization database, ratings database, anything. Okay, what the firewall needs to know. If there is a new domain in the market, FortiGuard will tell the firewall. Okay, if there is a new virus, malware, adware, greyware, spywares in the market, FortiGuard will tell him, oh, hey man, there is a new virus and this is how it looks like. Okay, if there is a new attack in the market somewhere in the Arctic, someone saw an attack, you sitting in India will know about it. FortiGuard is telling you. Okay, now FortiGuard is not only there to give you the information about the latest threats and the databases as in whole, but also FortiGuard helps to provide the functionalities like NTP. If you do not have an NTP server of your own, no worries. You just select the NTP as in FortiGuard and FortiGuard will give you the NTP functionalities, right? So your time will always be in sync. Now, it is also there to give you the DNS functionalities. You do not want to, or you may not be having your own DNS server, no worries. Your by default, the DNS on the FortiGate firewall is configured to use the FortiGuard server as the DNS. So FortiGuard is there to help your firewall to resolve any domain that it wants it to. Okay, you want to host any domain over as an A record, or as a AA record onto the global DNS. So FortiGuard is there to help you to do that. But keep in mind, FortiGuard services are not free of the cost. If your firewall is licensed, then only you will be able to use the FortiGuard as a complete service. Okay. Now, like I said, you do not have to worry about your communication with reference to Fortigate to the FortiGuard because that is done automatically. By default, it is done on the HTTP. Okay, so the communication that will be done is on HTTPS port 443 by default. But if you want, you can also test the communication with reference to UDP, and the port number would be 53 or 8888. So it uses all these three ports. Okay, but by default, this is what it will always choose. If in case the communication is broken, there are certain troubleshooting that you can do in order to check that why the FortiGate firewall is not able to establish the communication with the FortiGuard. Now, what are those steps and all? That is something which we will leave for the regular classes. We will not talk about that for now because that will not make sense to you. Okay, so let's leave for that. So as of now, just know that FortiGate firewall will always be in sync with the FortiGuard to receive all the informations what it can so that the firewall is always up to date. Okay, that's a simple statement. Now, coming back to the firewall. If you have to understand the firewall structure, what I have just drawn, the best example to understand is to take the example or the reference of your Windows laptop or any laptop for that matter. See, if I give you a laptop, maybe a Mac, maybe a Linux, maybe a Windows, whatever, we are not sure. But if I give you a hardware, a laptop, which has nothing onto it, nothing, it's a blank, no OS, nothing. Now, if I tell you, okay, hey, can you install the Chrome application on that laptop? Will you be able to do that? No. Why? Why you cannot install a Chrome application on the laptop what I have just given you? Because there is no operating system, right? You need an OS so that you can install the Chrome. Now, why is that? Why I am depending upon the OS? Because when I'm trying to install a Chrome, there is a process, Chrome process, right? See, I have opened the Chrome browser, so I can show you that what I mean. Whatever we do on our Windows machine or the Mac machine or the Linux, there are certain processes which are running. Yes or no? Correct? Whatever we do, right? Now, the point is each process here, whatever you are seeing is using certain CPU memory, right? These are the hardware things. So the problem is that when I was trying to install the Chrome wants to utilize a certain part of CPU and memory so that it can execute its task. Now, that process is not able to interact with the hardware. And that's why I'm not able to install the Chrome on a blank laptop. What I need? Operating system. Windows 10, Windows 11, Mac OS, Linux, Ubuntu, whatever the nature of that OS is. But keep in mind, the primary job of the OS is to help the processes, okay? Primary job of the operating system is to help the processes to interact with the hardware. So once we have the OS, now we can install any processes that I want. Chrome, VLC Media Player, you want me to install Adobe or something, XYZ softwares, Wiresharks and all, I can install anything because now the processes can talk with the operating system. Operating system will help them to interact with the hardware, right? And hence, in this way, they can make utilization of the CPU at the memory. The same logic goes here. Same logic. Antivirus process, IPS process, authentication process, CLI process, right? There are n number of processes that is there. DSCP's process, DNS proxies process, FNB, AMD processes, IKE processes, SSL VPN processes. There are many processes of the firewall. Whatever we are setting on the firewall, whatever features we are trying to use, the policies, nattings, clustering, whatever we are trying to do. For that, there is a dedicated process who is responsible to perform a certain task. Like, for example, if I'm saying IPS engine or IPS monitor is a process who is responsible to handle the IPS functionalities, right? So now that process needs to interact with the hardware to get a certain CPU resource, to get a certain memory resource. Now it cannot interact with the hardware directly. So what it needs? Operating system. The operating system of the FortiGate firewall is called FortiOS. Keep in mind, the FortiOS software from 6.4 onwards is still in support. Whatever operating system is below 6.4 series, they are out of support. Okay. So you are having 6.4, 7.0, 7.2, and likewise, you are having these series currently in effect. Here in the lab, we are going to use 7.0, okay, to learn the entire FortiGate firewall. And I will show that when I will bring up the device, you will see there that I'm having the firewall running on 7.0 version. Now, so once we have the operating system installed on the firewall, then only the processes can run onto it. So that's why you are seeing these arrows, which says that the processes are trying to interact with the operating system. And operating system is trying to interact with the CPUs or the memories, like you said, right? So this is how the process is going on. So this is an overview block diagram of the firewall, similar to the Windows machine, right? So any doubt with reference to this point, guys? Any doubt? Pradeep, Mohit?
You said some license are required. Now, when we require licenses?
You require licenses whenever you are trying to use the firewall. Without the license, the firewall is of no use because the critical functions will not work without the license. Critical functions, okay? In the lab, we are having a different setup, okay? But I can show you most of the things, almost all the things with reference to without the license also. But in the production, without license, the firewall is of no use.
So boxes comes with license, or we need to configure the license
No,
separately?
that's something which you have to purchase, right? When you will buy a device, you will also buy the license for it.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
fine. Now there is a general bundle license. That's the actual term, what is being used with reference to the FortiGate licensing. We call it as a general bundle license, which carries the license of the critical resources like functionalities of UTMs and VDOMs, and all these things will be included, whatever a firewall is supposed to do. But apart from the bundle license, there are also some additional licenses. That is something which is subject to your requirement. For an example, let me tell you, like 40 token license and the VDOM license. Now, if in case you want, by default, the firewall or a licensed firewall can support up to 10 VDOMs. Okay. But let's say your requirement is to have more than 10 VDOMs. In that case, you have to buy a new license for the VDOM. Okay. Now, earlier, there were two tokens which were used to give as an free whenever you have a general license on the firewall, but now that has been removed. So if you want a token, 40 token, maybe in a mobile form, maybe in a hardware or the software token type. So for that, you have to buy it separately. So there is a separate license for that. Okay, so token is something which is used for the two-factor authentications. Okay, so if you want to have that, then you have to purchase it separately. So apart from these two, all things are included. Okay, so like I said, if you count the VDOM also, that if you need more than 10 VDOMs, then only you have to buy the separate license, else you do not need to. Okay, so this is what about the general licenses. So general license is going to cover the entire firewall whatsoever. Okay. Okay, I see something. Licenses depend on the FortiGate model. Just give me a moment. I am trying to address a query here. Licenses depend on the FortiGate model. Yes, of course. See, it's not only about the FortiGate model. See, there are two types of firewalls, hardware and virtual. Okay, maybe you are buying a physical device, or maybe you want to deploy the firewall on the clouds like Azure, GCPs, OCIs, and likewise, right? So if you are deploying it on the clouds, that means you need a virtual firewall license. So your license cost will vary depending upon what resource you are buying it for. Like I will say that, okay, hey, I need to have a virtual firewall on the cloud, which should have 8 cores and something around 64 GB RAM. So of course the cost will be higher, right? Okay, so I want a firewall which is having a 32 CPU cores and maybe around 128 GB RAM. So that cost will boost further. Same goes with the hardware. If you are going to buy a small scale firewalls like 60 series, 90 series, 40 series, okay, 100 series. So these will cost less as compared to the mid scale range, that is 200, 500 series, okay? And if you go to the higher one, that is 1000 and beyond it, so that will cost you much more higher. So the licensing will also differ with reference to device capacity, okay? Is there any chance of FortiOS corruption? Of course, anything can corrupt, man. Something which is running on electronics has no guarantee. No guarantee whatsoever. Anything can crash. The firewall is running, the operating system crashed, right? Maybe the OS is not crashing, but like some process got crashed. So these things can happen. Okay. And if these things happen frequently, that means there is something which is triggering that situation, right? So that needs to be identified and it will be fixed as a bug. And then you might be getting a patch fix or maybe a major fix release for that as a specific version. Okay, fine. Any other doubts before I proceed further?
40 token, the license will be different, right?
Yes, 40 token license will be different. Okay, now coming back to the firewall. Now see here. So we got a Zist block structure of the firewall structure. Now the real question here is, think, and this is we really need to know, a very, very vital topic or concept, I would say, that there is a incoming packet, right? There is something which is been sent to the firewall. Now, when the firewall is receiving a packet, he would have done something. Kuch to kiya hoga, right? Something he would have done. NATing, policy check, routing, maybe traffic shaping, whatsoever, but he would have done something. And then only at last, if everything he would have seen as per the configuration, then only he would have decided to send it out, right? Simple terms. And that is true for any device, switch, routers, firewall, whatever. Now, what the Fortigate firewall did, if we know this, we know the entire firewall. And you will see that when I will be continuing with the batch, talking about several features and concepts and whatnot, I will be using this concept n number of times. See, if I get a very general perspective that, man, setting up a device is really tough. Okay, it is not always easy. Something is tricky and all. Okay, uh, some sort of also an perspective I get is like troubleshooting the devices is also not that easy and plain. You have to think something around it, and it is very hard to get a starting point of troubleshooting and all. Now, I agree with these point of view, but to a some extent. When I say some extent, that means I would say 90 to 10 or 9 to 1 ratio. That means 90% of time this is not true. These are exceptional 10% of scenarios where you might be stuck with the thought, boss, what I have to do now. Okay, so that is exceptional 10%, but I know the way around of that as well. But for most of the 90% of the situations, believe me, there are some basics things if you follow, you will be able to identify the problem and fix it on the call itself. And one of that thing is this knowledge of the life of packet. When I say life of packet, the term, what it means is life of packet inside the firewall. So till the moment the firewall was inside the, the packet was inside the firewall, something happened, right? So one of this factor, if you know, this will make your job easy in order to setting up the configuration and troubleshooting. Now, there are several other basics things that we also need to know, and that is something I will talk about when I will be touching the troubleshooting point of view, that most likely in the next to next week. But yes, this is also going to play a vital role, and I will tell you why, and you will agree with my statement once I complete this. Now, see here, let's take a simple situation of the firewall. And yes, needless to say, if something is not making sense, what I'm saying, feel free to interrupt me, okay? Because I don't want you to have a second thought, because that will prevent you to follow along the concept what I'm trying to deploy here. Now see. So when a packet is received on the interface, since the packet is incoming on this interface, that interface can be anything, right? LAN, WAN, whatever, port 1, port 2, port 3, whatever, okay? I can call it as ingress interface because the packet is received on this, right? In simple words, incoming interface. Okay, so whenever the packet is received, now it is in the buffer of the interface, buffer. The firewall will not start processing the packet instantly. Something else happened here. Now, what is that something else? I will not talk about that as of this moment. That is something which I will touch when I will touch the cluster. Okay, not now. Now, let's say those EOP has been done. Then what happens is the firewall, the first step, what it will do is when the firewall knows, okay, hey, this packet is for me, when it knows that, then it will start doing integrity check. It will first do integrity check. Sorry for my writing, but I think this is making sense what I'm writing here, right? So integrity check. Now, what is integrity check? To understand this purview, let's take a simple example. You walk into a shop of medicine and you said, okay, hey, I need a cough syrup, for an example, okay? Now the guy is giving you the cough syrup. You saw that the seal of that bottle is broken. Will you buy it? No, right? And the shopkeeper is telling you, hey man, by mistake I like broke it, or why like transportation this happened, some tampering happened, but the content inside the bottle is not compromised, man. So believe me, okay, I'm here only, I'm like not going somewhere. So he's giving all sorts of promises to you. But will you accept that medicine? The bottle whose seal was broken? No.
No.
Why? Why? Because in your mind, you have a thought that, hey, the content inside the bottle might be compromised, right? It is not the same what has been packed in the industry. So while that bottle was packed and was delivered to the shop, to me, something would have been changed, something would have been altered inside the content of that bottle. That's why I'm not buying it. So why? That's the reason why there is a seal, right? The purpose of the seal is to confirm integrity. Integrity of what? That whatever that bottle is carrying is to the best. It has not been altered. And that's why we buy it. Same thing goes here. When a device, now see, I'm not using the word here firewall, because this is not true only for the firewall, but for the entire network capable device, whether it's your phone, your smartwatch, your switch, routers, SD-WAN, whatever, you name it. This is true for everyone. Whenever a network device receives a packet, it does not start processing it. No. It will check the integrity. Is that packet good or that has been modified while it has been transmitted, because someone can do that. Someone who's sitting in MIM, man in the middle kind of an form, he can take a capture of the packet, he can modify something there, and then he can send it. How would you know, right? So integrity check is done. Now see, integrity check is not only done with reference to the headers, which, okay, let me put you in this perspective. There are two major things what will be checked. First is with reference to the headers, meaning every header has a checksum value. If you guys know about the headers, layer 2 header, what is the major protocol of layer 2? Major protocol. What is? Ethernet, right? Guys, everyone is clear with the OSI model? Or is there someone who does not know about the OSI model? Huh? I'm not getting a response, and that's not good. Everyone is clear with the OSI structure?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that means you would know that layer 2 major protocol, not minor. Minor is ARP. Major is Ethernet. Ethernet header is supposed to carry the information about layer 2 headers. Layer 3 major protocol is IP. Minor is ICMP, OSPF, ESP. These are minor protocols. But major is IP. In layer 3, IP is supposed to carry all the other protocols. Okay. Layer 4, major protocol is TCP or UDP, right? And layer 7, we know HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, DSCPs, and whatnot. So I think let me take the liberty to also mention that layer 7 protocol, whatever that protocol is, like I said, HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, SMTP, BGP, whatever. Okay. Layer 7 decides what will be used inside layer 4. Right? Since layer 7 protocol is HTTPS, that's why in the layer 4, TCP will be used. Right? Since layer 7 protocol is ISACAMP, that's why at layer 4, UDP protocol will be used. Always keep in mind, layer 7 protocol decides what will be used inside layer 4. Okay. Now, that being said, these three are vitals for me. Layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. When I see integrity check of the packet, so the header checksums, the Ethernet header checksum, let me show you that. See here. Do you see CRC checksum, frame check sequence, this 4-byte value? So the device will calculate the checksum of the entire header, and if that value is matching with the CRC checksum value, I know that no one has modified the layer 2 content. Okay. Similarly, if I go to the IP header, here also you will see there's a header checksum value. Do you see this, guys? Or you want me to zoom in? Do you see header checksum written here? Huh? So the device will calculate the checksum value of the IP header. And if that is matching with the checksum value, what is mentioned inside the value, hey, no one has modified the layer 3 informations. Okay. Similarly, TCP, layer 4. There is also a checksum value. Do you see this? Checksum value. This guy. Same, right? 16-bit value. Go with the UDP. Okay, UDP will also have a checksum value. See? Do you see this UDP checksum? I'm not sure if you're able to see that or not, but do you get this checksum? 16-bit value. So every header, every major protocol will carry the checksum. And the The significance of this checksum is to confirm the integrity. It's just like a seal of that bottle, okay? That nothing has been altered inside layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. And if that passes, we will say integrity check is passed. Now, like I said, there are two things. It's not only about the header checksums and all, but the one more thing that is checked inside the integrity process is the structure of the packet as per the RFC standard. Now, what do I mean by that? See, you might have noticed here when I was showing you, there is a fixed size, right? 16-bit value, 16-bit, 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 and what if, right? So there's just certain standards like UDP cannot carry the data more than 512 bytes. That's as per the RFC design. Now, if I get a packet of a UDP which is carrying more than 512 bytes of data, that means it's a fabricated packet. It's not a legitimate packet because it is violating the RFC standard. Now, let me take another example. Let's say if I have got a packet with the source IP 192.168.1.10 and destination IP 192.168.1.10, is it a legitimate packet? Can a packet have same source and same destination?
No.
Kabhi hoga aisa? Will it ever happen? No. But if I'm getting such a packet, hey man, it is against the RFC standard structure as how a packet should be framed or constructed. And if any of that violates that integrity will fail and the packet will be dropped at the interface level only. Keep in mind, you will never ever see such drops of the packets which fails because of integrity on the logging. You will not see that. The only place to see is interface counters. So in the interface counters, you will see like RX drop, TX drop. RX means received drop and TX means transmission drop. So you will see there RX error, TX error. So there you will see that. If you see the counters increasing, you know that the packets are getting dropped at the buffer level. Okay, that's the only place where you can see. There is no logging here. There's no other logs, either in the GUI, debugs, packet captures, nothing will show you the drop. Nothing. You will simply see that the firewall is not getting the packet. You will see no capture at all because the packet dropped at the interface level only. Okay, so if a packet is getting failed during the integrity check, it's drop, simple, silent drop. Okay, now proceeding further. So once we are done with the integrity check, then the next step, what it will try to do is it will try to go with a captive authentication. Now, what is captive authentication? It is like the name says, authentication means, hey, stop, first tell me who you are. If you authenticate yourself successfully, then only I will allow to go you further, else drop. Now, captive authentication is something which is used, like, for example, you walk into a hotel or a cafeteria or maybe airport lounges where you get free Wi-Fi's, right? So nothing is free, right? So you try to connect to that SSID and what you see is it will ask you to enter something onto it, right? So you have to enter username and password or maybe your phone number. Then you will get an OTP message which you have to enter and then you are successfully authenticated. That's captive. Okay, so before I allow you to access my network, first tell me who you are. First authenticate yourself. Okay, so but keep in mind, captive authentication is something which is optional. If you want to set it up. If not, leave it. Not a problem. So that depends upon your deployment. What is your requirement? But if you want this, the firewall can give you that. Now, after the captive, what does it do? DNAT. Now, keep in mind, captive and all these things, we will be talking in a broader manner. I will show you in the lab as well. But like I said, today we are just here to learn the packet flow. So that is, for now, just know that this is what it does. Next. Okay. So DNAT, destination network address translation. So if you have configured the DNAT rule, then and if that rule is matching with the received packet, then it will modify the destination IP or the port based upon what is your configuration. If you have not got any DNAT rule, which is matching the received packet, then the DNAT will bypass. Okay. Then next what it does, RPF and routing lookup. RPF means reverse path forward. Now, what does this mean, reverse path forward? Let me talk a little about that. See, okay, let me put it in this way. And समझना इसको, okay? It's a very simple diagram. Most of you might be knowing that, but let's do it in this way. See, whenever the routing lookup, okay, whenever the routing lookup is done for source IP, routing lookup means, okay, hey, how I can reach this IP. If the device is doing the routing lookup for the source IP, that is called reverse lookup. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? Reverse lookup. And whenever the routing lookup is done for the destination IP, that is called forward lookup. And see, the name is not a rocket science to understand. It is self-explanatory, right? Forward lookup means, see, I'm trying to do the routing lookup for destination IP. Okay, hey, how I can reach the destination 8.8.8. That means I'm simply asking how I can forward this packet out from my firewall, right? I have to forward the packet out. Now, source IP lookup means, देखो, let's say there is a 192.10 who wants to go to 8.8. Let's say this is the packet, right? When the packet has been sent out, when I will get a reply, the reply will look like this, 8.8 and 192.10, right? So if I will do the routing lookup for this destination in the reply packet, that will tell me how the reply packet has to be sent out from the device, right? Correct, na? So reverse traffic, na? It is what? Reverse traffic. So in the reverse direction, what you are seeing as source here, that will be as a destination here, right? What was the source IP here? That is the destination IP in the reply direction. So if I'm doing a routing lookup for source IP, in other words, what I'm trying to find out that, hey, if I get a reply, how I will send the reply traffic back in a reverse. That's why we call it reverse lookup. Make sense? The terms forward lookup and reverse lookup. Clear with these two terms?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Now, see, reverse lookup is always done before. This will be taking the first preference, and this is always done after. So whenever a packet is received, the device will not do the forward lookup. No, it will always do the reverse lookup first and then the forward lookup. This is why here I mentioned that RPF check is done, then the routing lookup. When I said RPF check, I was talking about a reverse lookup. When I said routing lookup, I was talking about forward lookup. Keep in mind, if the reverse check is pass, that is reverse lookup is successful, then only it will do the forward lookup, else it will drop the traffic. That reverse path check failed. And this is why doing the reverse lookup helps you to prevent a spoof attack. Now, there's a reason why the devices are doing reverse lookup, because they want to prevent the spoof attack. Now, how is that? Let me give you an example. See, let's say there is a router which has 4 interfaces. Let's take that. Port 1, port 2, port 3, port 4. Now there is a routing table. There's a routing table for this router. So it says simple that the network 192.168.1.0/24, if you have to go, it is reachable via, let's say, port 2. Okay. It says the other one says that if you have to go to 192.1.1.0/24, then you have to reach via port 1. The other one says that if you have to go to 172.1.10.0/24 network, go via port 4. Okay. And there is a default route which says that you have to go anywhere, please go via port 3. That's what the routing table is, for example. Okay. Now what happens is this port 1 is getting a packet with the source 192.168.1.10 towards the destination, let's say 172.1.10.1, something like that. Okay. This is what the packet has been received on the port 1. Now, going with the logic, what I was saying, that let's say integrity check is passed and all that. Now the device is trying to do what? A reverse lookup first, reverse path check. So what he will do is he will do the routing lookup for the source IP. What is the source IP? 192.168.1.10. So if he will do that, okay, hey, how I can reach 1.10? Which route it will hit? First one, right? And when that happens, what the firewall is thinking or the router is thinking, hey, that means this IP is behind port 2. So if this subnet is behind port 2, that means this packet would have been received from here. Na? Why it is coming on port 1? It should not have, as per the routing. Think. As per the routing lookup, 192.168.1.10 is reachable via port 2. But I'm getting the packet on where? Port 1. आ रहा है समझ में?
Yes.
Got my point?
Yeah.
So that means someone is trying to spoof the packet into my network. And such scenario is called spoof attack. And this is why by default, if the RPF check fails, now this is where it says RPF check fail, that I tried to do the reverse path lookup, and as per that, the packet is supposed to be coming from the port 2, but it is coming from port 1. Hence RPF check fail, packet drop. Maybe you have got a wrong routing configuration. Maybe that can also be one of the reason, but who knows, right? But if that's not the case, then yes, you have been prevented from someone trying to spoof into your network. Got it? So this is RPF check. Once that is passed, then only you will be able to do the forward lookup, that is routing lookup, that okay, hey, how I can go to the destination. If in case you do not have a route for the destination, the packet will be dropped. So you must have a route. Okay. Let's say you had a route and all, then you are going further to the next step, that is policy lookup. Then the firewall will try to find, okay, hey, for the received packet, do I have got a required policy which is matching with this received traffic? Now there are certain 5 parameters based upon which the policy is said to be matching. What is that? We will talk about in the upcoming classes. But for now, just know it will try to look for the matching policy. If it's a match, he knows, okay, hey, this is matching the policy number 10. As per that policy, the packet action is deny. He will drop the packet. Or the action is accept, he will allow the packet to the next step. If in case the incoming traffic is not matching with any of the configured policy, then automatically it will hit the implicit deny policy. So there is a policy number 0, which is always at the bottom with the action deny. So in other words, if you have not got the proper policy to allow a packet, it will be dropped. Okay, because of the policy 0. Now, let's say we have got the required policies. So we are going further to the next step, that is NGFW action and UTM. Meaning SSL inspection and all your UTM features, that is web filter, IPS, antiviruses, and application control, DNS filter, everything will come into play in here. Okay, so these things will be decided by that. Okay, now, if they say that, okay, the packet is good, clean and all, then you will move further to the next step, that is SNAT. So if you have got an SNAT configuration, then it will try to translate the source IP or the source port, depending upon what type of SNAT you have configured. If you have not got the SNAT setup, it will bypass that. Then the next is traffic shaping. It will do what? Traffic shaping. If in case you have configured the traffic shaping, it will do that. And if you have not, it will leave it. And then it will finally send the packet out from the interface. Since the packet is going out, hence we will call this interface as egress interface or outgoing interface. Got it? This is the packet flow. So the question what I asked, what did the firewall do when he got the packet? This is what it did. Clear? Any doubts till this point? Okay, I see some 3 messages here. Sorry, I was not able to see that while I was talking. One query, what are prerequisites required for learning firewall apart from CCNA knowledge? Hey man, if you have a CCNA knowledge, you are good to go with the firewall. There is no need to have any other requirement. Will no log be generated when the integrity check fails because of L3, L4 checksum mismatch? No, no logs except the interface counters. Okay, Mrudula Sai, did you get your answer now? No logs except from the interface counters.
Yeah. Okay, Rohan, thanks.
Okay. Now see here. So now I've given you this in here. Now, if in case there is an encrypted packet coming, so of course, first the decryption will happen, then it will check, it will go through the same steps, and then while sending it out, it will then encrypt the traffic, and then it will send it out. So that is what happens, decryption and then encryption. Okay. Now, okay, let me put it in this purview. I will delete all this. Now see, let's take a detour here before I come back to the same point. Let's take a slight detour. So what happened is, let's say you are sitting on with a customer along with your sales team, okay? And you along with your sales team is bragging about you being a technical guy, and the sales team, of course, is there to sell his product. So you both are bragging about your device. Hey man, this device is so and so good and all. This is proven record with reference to Gartner and whatnot, right? So you are giving all sorts of big words and throwing out the facts and figures to support that this firewall is one of the best and the best in the world, and you should go for that. Okay, so all your sales speech is going on in there. Now, me being a customer who manages a retail business, okay, or someone who manages or play with the stocks like Deloitte or something like that, okay. So I have a simple question. Fine, you are saying that your device is the best. I accept your term because you're showing me the proper facts and figures. So there is no refusal to that. But I have a simple question to you. A simple question is, just for the sake of an argument, okay, so just take as a layman example, that currently I am using a router, okay, I'm using a router. So when I'm sending a packet, the router is doing main functions of the routers. Let's say, for example, is to do the policy lookup, to do the NAT, to do the routing lookup, right? These are the main things what the router is supposed to do. And let's say for each process, it is taking 1 milliseconds. So 1 milliseconds into 3. So total 3 milliseconds it took to send the packet out. That means if currently what my network, when I'm having a router, is simply adding 3 milliseconds of latency in the network, right? I'm just taking these numbers to prove my point, okay? So it's just reference example. Now, you are telling me that I should go with the firewall. I should replace my router with the firewall because router is not there to give me the securities and firewall is going to give me much more functions as compared to the router. Of course, you're right. So when I'm sending a packet to the firewall, now you are saying that that along with the routing lookup, policy lookup, and NAT, what my router was doing, now your firewall is supposed to do something more than that, right? So something more means what? You will try to do the SSL inspections. You will try to support the IPS functionalities, AV functionalities, and few more. So let's take this as an example, the reference point up to this point. Okay. Now with the same logic, that means if each process is taking 1 milliseconds, now total you are having 6. So 1 milliseconds into 6, how much latency you created? 6 milliseconds. So you are saying me that if I use your firewall, you will add 6 milliseconds latency in my network. So in short, you are adding 3 milliseconds more. You doubled my latency. That is what you are doing now. And you are fully aware that my business is a retail business, right? I have million transactions going through my outlet. Someone is paying through UPI. Someone is using cards of n number of banks. Different modes of payments are there, right? Several commodities is being tracked in the real time. What product is in short, what product has to be delivered, quantities and all that. So there are a lot of data going on. And you are you are telling me that you will add 3 milliseconds. That means you are double my latency, slowness in the network. I'm in the business of stocks. Are you here to kill my business? You just doubled the slowness of my. So by the time I put my order to buy and sell, I'm in the loss of billions or millions, right? Will such companies buy your device? See, you cannot sell your device on the ground of fear. ठीक है ना? Fear is a factor, yes, but it will not work always for most of the customers. So why I will buy your firewall, man? Did you get my point? What I'm trying to imply here? Did you get the concern of the customer?
Yes.
Yes.
So to answer that, keep in mind, firewall uses a method called triple P. Triple P stands for parallel packet processing. What this method means? Simple. See, it says now, if there's a packet coming to me, what I will do is I will duplicate that. I will duplicate the packets. I will create duplicate packets and then I will send it to the firewall. Why? So that while one is doing something, the other will also be ready with the extra things. Now, if you watch closely, the process of the firewall here, what the firewall is doing, what is one thing which is extra than a router? This. Because the rest all thing is also done by a router, na? DNet, routing lookup, SNet, traffic shipping policies. Router can also do this. What is separating a router from a firewall? NGFW and UTM features, right? That's the extra work what the firewall is giving you. Else why I will not, if I remove this, doesn't it look like a router? Yes, no?
Yes.
So see, actually, what happens is, so when I said now that the incoming traffic will be duplicated, right? Why I said that? Because your main CPU, keep in mind, your main CPU or the CPU has two components. What are those? One is NP component, NP, network processor, who is responsible to do all these tasks, what the router was doing. Okay. Now, did I use the black color to do this or what? Okay, this is also something here. So it's an NP who will do all this. Now, this part is done by whom? CP, content processor. So when I said now that I will duplicate the parallel packet processing approach, what does it mean? That I got a packet, then I will duplicate it. Why? Because one of the packet I'm sending it to the CP processor and other packet I'm sending it to the NP processor. So that by the time NP was able to do all this, my CP also did this. So if NP took 3 milliseconds, right? 3 milliseconds, within the same time, he also did the same thing. So I gave you more functionalities, but at the cost of what? Same 3 milliseconds. So what the router was giving you in 3 milliseconds, now I did double of that job. I gave you security also during the same time. So if you buy my device, I'm not only helping you to process your traffic in a fastest manner, but also adding the security to your network. Now the people will rush to buy my product. So what's stopping a customer to get the Fortigate firewall? No one, right?
Can
Got the
you
point?
repeat one more time, sir, that NP and CP?
See, there are two components of a CPU. Okay. NP processor and CP processor. There is a single chip of CPU. There's a single chip of CPU, but it has two components, NP and CP. Now, NP is supposed to do these tasks, what you are seeing in here, the blue marker, and CP is supposed to do the NGFW action and the UTM. Okay, so the task is divided. And what happened is
Is
that
there any
when
full
the
form
first,
of NP or CP?
sorry, full form,
Yes, sir.
network processor and content processor. Clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So did you get my point now? That when I'm duplicating the packets, when the firewall is duplicating the packet, the received packet, then it will send one of the packet to the CP processor, one of the packet to the NP processor, so that they both can take action on the packet at the same time. Okay, and then the final verdict will be decided. So there is no delay in adding my firewall into your network. I will do more things within the same time what your router did. Clear? Clear? Eh?
So is this triple P processing specific to Fortinet or is it generic to all?
No, even your Palo uses the same model.
Okay.
Okay, so see, it's a hardware patent design. Of course, Fortinet has its own way to process the triple P. Palo has its own. ASRX has its own. Okay, but more and less, when you will try to learn about the processing of any device, the gist of those things are the same. What I'm telling you, maybe like SRX will have different modules. Apart from two, they might have 4 or 5 modules which are doing the same job at the same time. So that may differ, but the gist of the processing is same. Okay.
Got you. Thank you.
Now, so if we are clear with this point, now we know that how my firewall is doing more actions within the same time what the other devices can do. And this is why the people are preferring the firewall. Now with this, there is one more doubt. Can anyone tell me what is the problem with this design or with this approach? Think.
CPU utilization will increase.
Yes, thank you. Because of overload. See, think like this. Let's say I am watching a YouTube video of 5 minutes. During that 5 minutes, between my machine and the YouTube server, there might be a communication of, let's say, for example, 10,000 packets. Okay, for an example. Now, if I'm saying that the firewall is duplicating the packets, that means where the CPU or the firewall was supposed to handle 5,000 packets, because of duplicity, now the firewall has to handle 10,000 packets. And this is, I'm talking about a single session, right? Single session. In the production, if there is a million session, and if the people are sending like, let's say 50 millions of packet, if I'm duplicating all that, now my firewall is supposed to handle 100 million packets. Of course, that will have a toll on the CPU. And when the CPU is overloaded or is in under high utilization, that will have an impact on overall device performance, meaning additional latency. So we are back to a square one. You proposed triple P as a solution to do more works in a less time. But while doing that, you increase the load on the CPU. And because of that, the CPU is now taking more time to do all those tasks. Okay. And hence it is taking, or it is adding more latency, right? So what to do in here? Now, keep in mind, actually, there's one small information which I heard is that this is true that the incoming packet will be duplicated, but it's not all the packets. It's the initial packet. This is why we say that this is the life of first packet. This is life of first packet. It is not the life of all the packets. All the packets will not go through all these, what we have learned here. This is only for the first packet, meaning, let me tell you one thing. When I said that the CPU has two parts, two components, NP and CP, I was actually pointing to main CPU. There are two types of CPUs in the Fortigate firewall. One is main and the other one is called hardware CPU. In layman term, we also call it as ASIC. Or in Fortigate firewall, you will also see people referring as NPU, network processing unit. Okay. So just try to understand in the layman term that there is a main CPU and there is a hardware CPU. Keep in mind, the main CPU is responsible to process first packet. He will only process the first packet. Once he does that, then he will create session. Session means whatever he did, he will record it. That means captive authentication pass. Okay, so he will say that it has been passed. DNAT, so as per the DNAT, we have to translate this IP to this, the port number to this. The routing lookup is telling that the packet needs to be sent out from so and so direction as per the reverse and the forward lookup both. Okay, he will note that how the packet in the original direction will be sent out, how the reply traffic will be sent out. He will also note, okay, as per the policy match number 5, the action is accept and we are trying to take action on the UTM. UTM says the action is passed. Then as per the SNET, the source IP or the source port needs to be translated to what, and do we have to apply the traffic shaping? If yes, what rule is matching? He's noting everything. And that note of the main CPU is called session. Whatever he did now, he created a note of that. And that note is nothing but a session. So that session will then be handed off. So this session will what happen? He will then hand off this session. He will hand off to whom? To the ASIC, that is hardware CPU. Okay, boss, I have written all the things. What you have to do when this packet comes and what you have to do when the reply is coming. How would you know that this is a reply and this is the actual packet? How would you know? I have written everything. Just do what I have written. So hardware CPU is now there to just see the packet. Okay, hey, this packet is matching with the existing session. Okay, as per that session, this packet is supposed to be sent out in this manner. He will do it. So now main CPU is free. Okay, main CPU is free. To do what? To tackle new sessions. This is why you will see in the Fortigate firewall, although firewall is handling million of sessions, the CPU usage will hardly be like 4%, 5%, or maybe 10 to 12%. Because hardware is taking care of rest of the traffic. And for that, the hardware CPU does not need to go through all these steps. He does not have to, because everything is written in the sessions. He just have to follow the instructions, what is there. That's all. So now coming back to summarize this point, that when the firewall receives a packet, it duplicates it. But what? The first packet of a unique session, he will duplicate it. One of the packet will be sent to the CP and the other one will be sent to the NP. In other words, that packet has been handled by main CPU. While the main CPU processes the traffic, the main CPU will create the session and he will hand off to the hardware CPU so that the upcoming packets which is matching the same session will be tackled now by the hardware CPU, not the main CPU. And this is why the CPU utilization will never go high and the firewall can give you the best of its packet processing along with the sense of security within the minimal time. Clear?
Any limitations of sessions here?
Of course, that depends upon your firewall model. Okay, so your model will have a hardware capacity, right? So let's say your model says that I can handle up to 20 or say 1 million sessions. So that means 10 lakh. So if you go beyond that, your hardware is not capable to handle that. So in that case, you have to either optimize your traffic or maybe you have to upgrade your hardware. Okay, so every model has its limitation. Clear?
Okay.
Fine. So this is, I will stop the topic in here. So if you have, okay, I see one question been posted. Let me check onto that. What is the difference between Fortinet Firewall and the Fortinet NGFW? No difference. NGFW is a term next-gen firewall. So by definition, a firewall is said to be a next-gen firewall if it supports IPS functionalities. This is as per the security domain definition. Okay, so if it supports the IPS functionalities, that is called next-gen firewall. So Fortinet is the next gen. It's not the Fortinet, it's the Fortigate. Fortinet is the company under which the device that is meant or the firewall, the next gen firewall, which is designed is Fortigate. So Fortigate is the next gen firewall. Did you get your answer, Shantanu? Okay, I see a question here. Please explain VDOM concept in brief. Okay, there's something more to talk about that, but if you want a brief answer, then VDOM is just like a hard disk partition. Each VDOM is representing a firewall. Think in that way. Okay, so if you have VDOM 1, 2, 3, that means you are having firewall 1, 2, 3. So the way you will work on firewall 1, 2, 3 connected in a sequence manner, that's the same thing what the VDOM 1, 2, and 3 will give you on a single firewall. So if you want to create multiple firewalls on a single firewall, that is where you will do it. So just like we have a laptop where we are having a 500 gig of hard disk, right? But what we do, we create a partition, drive C, drive D, drive E, right? And the beauty of that is that if drive C is crashed, we are not going to lose the data of drive D and D as if they all are different hard disk. But is it the case? No, they are virtually created hard disk, right? So the same logic goes with the VDOM. How to suggest firewall model to customer means customer having 30 users but using high utilization work, then how we suggest which model is suitable for them. Now, to answer that, let me point you to the, see, now that is best to be answered by the sales team. I will not take the liberty to give much more details because of our contractual binding, as we cannot intervene in the sales record. Okay. But I will give you the gist of your question. To answer that is always refer to the data sheet of whatever
Actually, in this
firewall model
scenario,
you are
sales team
thinking.
asking for the IT manager or IT persons, which model we suggest to the customer.
That is
That's
what
why
I'm
I am
saying.
asking.
Okay, not a problem. See, but there are more to it, but I can give you what I'm free to give, but I will not go into the pitch where it will violate our contract. Okay. So that being said, see here, always refer to the data sheet of the model, what you are thinking to suggest to a customer. For example, here, if you will look, okay, so see here. So this is a 100F series firewall. This is how it looks like. Okay. And I will show you this part. First thing is this, that you will know that what all capacities you have. Like if I want to know that how many 10 gig ports I have in this firewall, so only two 10 gig ports I have. If you think that your network is, it's like your network can be managed with the two 10 gig ports, then this firewall might be for you, because rest all ports are 1 gig ports. Okay, so what ports you have here, you can see that. Now, the main deal is here, the specifications. For example, let's say it says that you most likely be considered about how many TCP sessions it is going to handle. Concurrent means at the same time. So at the same time, it can handle 1.5 million sessions, meaning your firewall can maintain 15 lakh TCP sessions at the same time. But this is a rate, new sessions per second. So how many TCP sessions it can process per second? That is 56,000. See, maintaining 15 lakh sessions at the same time and processing 56,000 per second is two different things, right? I think you are like getting my point. Okay, so I might have an auditorium which can have a sitting for 1,000 people, but at what rate I can accept the people. So maybe it's like 10 peoples a minute because of the gates and all what I have. So that is a narrow gate. So 10 people per minute. That's my capacity to process the crowd. But inside that I can handle 1,000 people at the same time. It's kind of same thing. Okay, concurrent means at the same time. So this is the capacity. If you think that this is going to meet your requirement, well and good. You are talking about the throughputs. You see here, your firewall is capable to support what throughputs in terms of IPS or in terms of the IPv4s, right? So 10, 20, 18, and 10, that is the size of the packets here with reference to the UDP. Okay, so that is what you are seeing in here. Okay, so to answer your question, did you get your answer now? How would you
Yes,
be able to suggest?
yes. And
Okay,
rest of this we will talk a later as in the training.
ha.
Please go ahead right now.
Okay, so the gist is refer the data sheet to know about your firewall capacity. So someone who asked about the session limitation, did you also get your answer here for the
Yeah.
hardware models?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other doubt?
No, thank you.
Okay. Physical firewall versus software firewall, there is no difference. Physical firewall and software firewall, neither in terms of configuration, manageability, or in terms of troubleshooting. Nothing changes. Okay, it's just that physical firewall is something which you will deploy on the data center. It is something which you can see, touch, and feel. So software firewall, which is not the right word to use. The right word is a virtual firewall, which you cannot touch, see, and feel, but it will do the same job what the physical is doing. It's just the place where you are going to deploy it. Okay, I see. So is it only the first packet that is being inspected and the rest are just forwarded? Yes, you can say that. Okay, you can see that. See, there is some more inside that. It's not that too simple, black and white. But yes, this is the overall gist, if you will ask. Yes, this is how the firewall works. But there is some more granular things that we need to talk about. And that is something which we will learn and keep on adding some minute details to it while we progress in the course. Okay, fine. So I will stop sharing of the screen now. And I hope the session was helpful and I was able to answer your doubts with reference to the course content and the structure. And we learned something today. Fine. So hope to see you all on the next class. Okay. When the next class will be scheduled, this is the question which needs to be answered by the support team. Okay. So get in touch with the Gaurav. Gaurav will confirm the dates for that. Fine, guys.
Thank you, Rohan.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you,
all.
Rohan.
It was a nice class. Thank you.
Thank you.